right, fans of fun, it's Thab the theme park giant, and I'm doing a video about my trip to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg with some friends a couple months ago. Now, what is this exactly? I don't really know, but I thought I'd try my hand at a little more content creation with amusement parks and roller coasters because I enjoy them, and I just think it'd be kind of interesting. So, why am I doing it here in my office instead of actually at the park? Well, to be honest, this was the first park I ever did it at, and most of the stuff I did was pretty terrible. So instead of just suffering through that, I thought, well, I can probably do a little better job of, you know, adding voiceovers or whatever here and actually make it enjoyable instead of whatever I was doing that day. I mean, we were in a hurry. It was mostly hanging out with friends that day. I wasn't there to, do this really, but I did break off a little bit and do some things. And I was in kind of a bad mood for other reasons that we'll find out about later in this. Yeah, all in all, I just wanted to try my hands at something new. So I taught myself some video editing. I got a GoPro, and I've learned a lot of things just through this trip I took through Virginia and Florida. Back in April. So hopefully you see as the trip goes on, my video stuff gets a little better. I've learned a GoPro is not exactly the greatest thing to use for like walking around and talking. It's great on rides, don't get me wrong, but it's not ideal for some of the stuff I want to do in the parks. So making some adjustments on that for future things, but you know, it is what it is, and this is my first shot at it. So whatever. Hopefully you enjoy it. Yeah, let's go. Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. I mentioned I was at the park with some friends that day, and luckily one of them was smart enough to actually take a picture of the group of us. But yeah, from front to back, we've got my friend Sean, my friend Doug, Rick was there, my friend Nicole, my friend Jeremiah, my friend Keith, and then there's me in the back. This was in line for the wooden coaster in the park, Invadr, but had a blast. People from all over the country coming in to hang out together. We've gone all over the world together, and then a couple people are a little more local to the park, but it was a blast getting to see everybody for a couple days. We also did I did Six Flags America in DC. And wait a minute, did you say Six Flags America? Let me check out my map here of all the top 50 parks by attendance in the United States. You get to scratch them off as you go, and I bought this like a year ago, and this is the first park I've been to that I didn't get to scratch off initially. So this is really exciting, folks. Of course, I've lost the thing that came with the poster to actually scratch things off, so I'm just going to use a penny. But they both get the job done. I actually liked Six Flags America. I didn't think it was as bad as everyone makes it out to be, but that's kind of everything in the roller coaster community. Have to clean that up a little bit. Boy, isn't this exciting. There it is. Six Flags America, no longer unscratched. Now you'll notice Michigan's Adventure is half scratched. I wasn't paying attention. I've not been there yet. King's Dominion near Richmond, Virginia, Doswell, with Sean and Doug the previous day. We actually had my 500th roller coaster ridden Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion. So, pretty cool guy. Yeah, I know, you're jealous. Not many people can say that they've accumulated that big of a nerdy count of roller coasters. So I'm so proud of myself. Believe me. Now, as you saw in the intro, Busch Gardens is a beautiful park. I mean, it was early spring, but I mean, leaves were growing in, but I mean, the park still looks fantastic. They've won most beautiful theme park in the world several times, and I mean, I've been to quite a few parks, and it's hard to argue with that. I mean, it's just incredible. It's built into this valley. It's a hilly park, a lot of terrain. a lot of trees. Just it's just an amazing park. And then they landscape it so well. There's flowers everywhere, and then as you can just see, like I mean, the theming is really well done. It's not Disney quality or whatever, but in terms of like amusement parks with thrill rides and things like that, this is great. It's themed to Europe. So I mean, all the areas are broken out. You've got the UK here that we're walking through. That's the front entrance area. Um, we got Ireland here. We got sheep running around. France. I think there's old France. There's Italy. But yeah, and as you go to each place, you can tell it is themed to that area, as you'll see as we go around here. But one of the cool things about the Busch parks too, Tampa actually has a huge uh, area for animals. I mean, it's basically a zoo along with the thrill rides there. But Williamsburg has animal exhibits spread throughout. You got these sheep. Um, there's a wolf exhibit that's really cool. They have some bald eagle stuff that the eagles weren't there right now because there was a bird flu going around at the time. So that was kind of disappointing because they're really cool to look at. But just a ton of stuff. I mean, families can come to this park, walk around. I mean, here you got a classic train ride. And I do have to share a quick story on this, but right before I shot this little video of the train taking off, a woman was rushing to get across the tracks as the things were coming down and fell down on the tracks and was screaming at the conductor to not run her over. And he wasn't moving the train and was well aware that she was in the way. So it was pretty funny because she was fine, but she just probably had a real hurt ego. But I didn't record that, and sometimes I'm sad I miss things like that because, boy, I like watching people do things like that. But yeah, great family park, great thrill rides. I mean, some of just a great collection of roller coasters, as we'll see. But yeah, you can really just, I mean, old, young, thrill ride. You just want to do family stuff. I mean, there's something for everybody. Yeah, as you just walk around, I mean, just the theming of the shops here. I mean, you feel like you're walking through some French uh, little village, and then you get out here in the wineries. I mean, that it's just a really cool park. Now, here in the France area, the main draw is Griffon. It's 200 feet tall, but it's a B&M roller coaster. It's a dive coaster, which means it's got a 90-degree drop. Well, two. They usually have two, and Griffon does as well. But we'll see a little more of that later. But the French area, a lot of flowers, little kind of winery areas. But yeah, Griffon is the main draw. And here's a much closer look at it from the actual Griffon area, right at the bottom of the drop. So it has this holding brake. You don't really stop. You're kind of slowly moving over the edge, but when you're up there, hanging there, staring down that, it feels like you're just stuck. It is a really cool trick they do. I will say, like, I've been on enough of these rides now. They're just kind of a one-trick pony for me. The drop's great. I mean, the rides are super smooth and they're a lot of fun. And yeah, if you're not a person that rides these things all the time, it's a pretty good thrill. I mean, that's a big drop, a lot of inversions, and just kind of a different ride. There aren't a whole lot of these, especially in the U.S. Yeah, and then there's this cool little feature at the end here. Where they go through a pool of water to help slow you down a little. I mean, it's just a cool effect when you see it, but just a really well designed area. I like the plaza it's in, a big open area. It's not super crowded, even though the park was crowded that day. And Griffon had quite a decent line. I didn't actually end up riding it because I didn't want to wait 45 minutes. And I was going to Tampa anyway, so I figured I would ride Shikra if I wanted to. They're the exact same ride at the sister parks. But yeah, so Griffon, find more about out about that, I guess, when I do my Tampa video, because I actually have some on-ride footage. But as I mentioned earlier, you got the thrill rides like Griffon we just talked about. Here's the wool den that I was mentioning earlier when they were showing the sheep. You can see the white and the black one. There's another one running around in there. But then they have guides out that explain some of their habits and things like that. But really cool area. I don't know. The wolves are just pretty cool to watch. Here, just more of the park as we're walking around. I think we're heading towards Italy. Italy's probably got the most thrill rides now. It used to just be Apollo's Chariot back there, and then they put in Tempesto, and then this year they put in Pantheon, which is their newest roller coaster. So this was definitely where everyone congregated that day. You can see Tempesto here on the left side. That's a launched coaster, and then you've got Apollo's Chariot going over the lift hill here, and that's the park's hyper coaster, 200 feet tall. Some of you may remember Fabio got hit by a goose while he was riding that on opening day in like 1999 or whenever that was. But yeah, I love Apollo's Chariot. Tempesto, I mean, it's fun. Those rides are cloned quite a bit. Busch Gardens Tampa has one as well called Tigris, and I do have more footage of that one that you'll see in the future. This is the Apollo's Chariot entrance. Apollo's Chariot was one of their first hyper coasters. B&M, the company, Busch really likes B&M coasters, but they were the company that came in with like the 4-across seating, inverted roller coasters like Batman at a lot of Six Flags. Like B&M was really ahead of their time. I think people kind of forget how big of an innovative company they were because they've been around so long now, and a lot of their rides are just, you just know what you're going to get with them because they're just quality. They may not be the most intense things in the world. Some of their old ones were, and actually some of their newer ones are getting back to that. But for quite a while, they were just kind of like people eaters at parks. They ran well. There wasn't much maintenance. They never break down. Like, they're just solid rides. It's a great company. But Apollo's Chariot, one of my favorite hyper coasters. And in fact, with the beauty of video editing that I've taught myself, we're going to go ride it right now. Wow, wasn't that great? It is a lot of fun. Yes, I'm being stupid, but yeah. So that was Apollo's Chariot. I hope you enjoyed it. Walking through more of Italy here, you can just see even like the kids rides are like themed. you know, you've got like Da Vinci stuff and these flying contraptions and all this. But like, I really think I love the how the bushes are cut over here, just the landscaping. It's those old like Roman gardens, super cool. A lot of old, you know, Roman statues, things like that. I don't know. I just think it's a really cool area of the park. And then you can barely see Pantheon there in the background. That's the new ride for this year. We'll talk about that a little more later. But yeah, just they have all these little walkways. Like, I don't know, you just don't see that a lot in best parks. Where, I mean, it was just like looking through an Italian village. Here's one of their cooler rides. Escape from Pompeii. I mean, it's your typical splashdown boat ride, but they've actually built quite a bit of theming inside, and it's obviously an escape from Pompeii as the volcano's erupting. Now, one thing I like to do is sit here and watch people get sprayed, because for whatever reason people get really upset that you spray them with water on a water ride, and I'll never understand that. But people scream a lot, and so yeah, I think it's funny to watch. So there's some footage of it. People getting upset about getting wet on a water ride. Another popular and big area in the park is the Germany area. You just saw the Mock Tower. That's the park's drop tower that has really never been running when I'm there. It ran for a few minutes when we were there that in the morning, and then we never saw it really go again. It's just plagued with issues. Not important. But the rest of the area, Verbolten kind of takes over. Verbolten's one of their launch coasters, but it's themed to this like tourist attraction, like these car tours in the Black Forest in Germany. But like, something weird's been going on in the forest lately. Oh no, what's happening? But it's really cool. It's one of my favorite. I mean, it's kind of a family coaster, but it's just really fun. Here you can see, like, I love the trains. Like, those cars just look awesome. You go down here in this ravine, and you're gonna see it's launched up this little hill here in a second, and you go into a show building in the dark, and things happen, which you might see later. But yeah, it's a really fun ride. Coaster nerds know that used to be the area where Big Bad Wolf was, which was a pretty historic ride. Unfortunately, I never got to ride it before they took it out. I was at there when Verbolten first opened that year, so I just missed Big Bad Wolf, unfortunately. But there's a very famous drop down the ravine into that river that we saw earlier, and they basically mimicked that with this new ride, so it's very cool. But let's go. Just a warning on this POV, it goes into a dark building for about 30-40 seconds, and there's just not much to see. So I might speed it up in there. But yeah, let's go take a ride on Verbolten. They beat Universal to the punch. Here we are entering the Ireland area of the park. This area doesn't have as many rides, but I mean, I actually think it might be. That's probably my second favorite theming at the park. I really like the Swiss area. Um, yeah, there used to be a simulator ride in there. I don't think it's there anymore. But got live music being performed all over the park. This little group was doing some Irish songs. I sat and listened for a little bit. Really, it's a really nice, relaxing, park. I mean, if you don't want to do roller coasters, you don't have to. That's why I said earlier, the whole family can come. But just great how they designed the park. Yeah. So I mean, that's Ireland. We're moving more into some other areas of the park here. Coming up on, like I said, Switzerland. You can see Alpengeist here in the background, which was a ride that I wanted to ride for a very long time, and finally got to do it in 2012 and was really excited. But Alpengeist is themed to like an old ski village. They've actually designed the ride to. I mean, these B&M inverted coasters that I was talking about earlier, that they invented this design, but I mean, they already looked like chair lifts because they hang under the track, and your feet dangle. But this is actually like themed to a ski lift. If you look, the columns are actual like ski lift columns, not just normal like roller coaster support beams. Just those little details I love about Busch Gardens. If they didn't have to do that. If you get up close to the train, you'll see they actually have skis like on the side of them, like you're on a chairlift. And then I just love this whole area too. Like you get these, because it drops into this huge valley, but you have these really awesome views of it. Alpengeist is, I mean, it's still one of the biggest inverted coasters in the world. Just gigantic. It is. It's so intense. And I was so happy. It was running super smooth this year. Our ride was great on it. And like a little personal thing for me, I actually got to ride in a non-big boy seat for the first time on Alpengeist. So like the big boy seats, for larger people, they have a couple seats usually in like row 4 and 5 that give a little extra. They have 2 seat belts. You'll see them, but so you always have to ride in the middle of like row 4 or 5, and it just stinks because of the guy who likes roller coasters. I want to ride in different rows, and I actually got to ride in like the second to back row on the outside. So as silly as that may sound for people, like it was really exciting for me, and it was a great ride. I don't have any video of that, unfortunately, because as we were about to take off, they asked if I had a card for my GoPro, and at that time I didn't know you needed to actually get approval. I just saw on the website if you had a harness you were okay, which I do. But yeah, so a guy made me take it off. He put it in the bin while I was already strapped into the ride, and then the ride supervisor came along, and said, "Oh, whose is this?" And gave me a card. So I was good, and then basically tossed me my GoPro as the train was leaving the station, and I was panicking and couldn't get it on, blah, blah, blah. I ended up just holding on to it. So I don't have any video of Alpengeist of my own, and I mean, you can go find a POV of it, but it is a great ride. Fortunately, I don't have any footage for you. I'll get it someday. And here we are. This was our first ride of the day, actually, over in the Canada, I think, or French Canada. I don't remember the actual. I'm terrible. I'm not an expert, folks. I just really like to go to parks and ride things. But this is Invadr. This was a new one, the new roller coaster for me. 501st credit. Yeah, Tempesto is 502. I know you really care about these details. But Invadr is kind of this junior wooden coaster from GCI, Great Coasters International. But I really like GCIs. I know some people, I mean, they're not RMCs, and yeah, they're not like the Intamin Woodies, but like they're usually just pretty fun rides, and I really like them, and I liked Invadr a lot. Cool theming to like Viking stuff. But yeah, we actually can go for a ride on this one, guys. I've got the video, so let's go. That's not us. That's a different train, but I'll get us on there. Don't worry.
Now sit back and enjoy your adventure on Invadr.
How steady of a shot are you gonna get?
Oh,
it's got to be Rob smooth.
This thing keeps it.
Look at this professional arm.
This thing keeps it level.
Oh, he's got it down.
Oh yeah.
He looks way more ridiculous.
How's the ride, Sean?
I am ashamed of who I'm with.
Perfect.
We're in agreement. I need more beer.
Oh, the log ride's open. Yeah. Whoa.
How tall is this drop pad?
No idea. I don't know the layout or anything. Busch Gardens Williamsburg has a very iconic area. This bridge here. I mean, if you look up Busch Gardens Williamsburg online, you're gonna find a million pictures of Loch Ness Monster from this bridge. Loch Ness Monster is their oldest roller coaster. You'll see it here in a second, but you can also see Pantheon here. It's the
This is the newest ride.
new ride. I'm gonna turn myself down. There's Loch Ness Monster. It's got the interlocking loops. It's just, I mean, classic. I mean, this is what everyone thinks of when they hear Busch Gardens Williamsburg. They think of these loops. And now coming up on Pantheon, the brand new ride. This has been built for 2 or 3 years now. And then with COVID and other things that we won't go into, the rides did not open until this year for the Busch parks, and that includes SeaWorld. Yeah, this is Pantheon. It's a multi-launched Intamin ride. It's got, I don't even know how fast it goes, but you get launched forwards, backwards, up this spike backwards, switch straight down drop, and then there's a top hat. You go down by the river valley and yada yada yada. But yeah, this is their big attraction right now. Not as well themed in this area as what you're used to seeing with Busch parks. They've definitely cut down on that the last few years. So that's a little disappointing because it's just like they built it in a big grass field, and it just, I don't know, it just doesn't fit in with a lot of the park in my opinion. That's like the most theming right there, that sign. And then here's the reverse launch part up the spike, and we're about to go into the station here for a ride. Why don't you join us? There's somewhere I'm not upset when I get booted. Okay.
Releasing row 6.
That one. Excuse me. I have to stand under this thing. Excuse me.
Ask that you want to see if they'll like it. Okay.
I'm sorry, sir. You're a little too tall to ride, unfortunately. I'm really sorry about that.
Well, wasn't that a lot of fun? So yeah, if you didn't figure out what happened there, one, I didn't realize my GoPro was still on when they had me get off the ride, but I'm about a half-inch too tall to ride Pantheon. It's a 76-inch height limit, which is 6'4". I'm probably just a hair over 6'4.5". I used to be over 6'5", and I used to get booted off a lot of those Batman spinning rides at Six Flags parks, and now I'm actually just under that 6'5", even with shoes on. So maybe I'll keep shrinking, but so yeah, I do want to talk about that a little bit because I understand I'm too tall. I get it. That's a safety thing. I've been booted off rides for other reasons, you know, like I've lost a lot of weight the last few years. But yeah, I've done the walk of shame many times for that, and that is 100% on me. And I have fixed that. But I understand. Yes, 6'4" is the rule. My problem was that 75-minute wait, and they had someone standing at the front of the queue, you know, checking people that are too short or whatever. They checked my GoPro to make sure I had the credentials and approval, which I did. But he did not mention anything about, hey, maybe you're pretty tall. You might be a little too tall. So after a 75-minute wait to get booted by the same guy that let me go in the front, because they asked about my GoPro, and he said, oh, no, I remember him. He's good. I checked him in at the front. So that was my biggest issue. Now, a couple months has gone by, and I will say, at the very least, a friend texted me the other day a picture. They now have a thing you have to walk under to show that you're not too tall. So I'll give them credit for that, because my main anger was this could have been prevented. I could have done something else. I mean, they did give me a skip the line pass. So, I mean, yeah, it stinks. It could have been avoided, and it looks like they've actually taken that step to do that. So all good. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm ever going to get to ride Pantheon now, which really stinks because I was excited about it. So yeah, I don't really have a review for you outside of I wish I was an inch shorter in height. Well, that's it for Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I hope you enjoyed the video, following along on a day at a park with me and some friends. Obviously, everything wasn't perfect. Things never are. I'd love to ride Pantheon. Doesn't look like it's going to happen unless I cut my feet off in the near future. Probably not going to do that. But yeah, all in all, had a fantastic day. I mean, it's one of my favorite parks in the country, in the world. It's one of the best parks out there. I mean, you've seen great rides, great food, just a great environment, and I mean, just so beautiful. Just you can walk around and just look at that all day. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel. That all helps, you know, get some more eyes on it, and leave a comment, good or bad. Feel free to, you know, give me feedback. I want to hear it. So, but yeah, thanks for taking the time to sit down and watch all this, and I hope you enjoyed it. This is Thad the Theme Park Giant saying, have a great day.
This is good content. This is video. This is great. This might be worse than the ice cream picture.
Jesus Christ.